Let's talk about the difference between how single people view marriage and how married people view marriage. So this topic is really interesting, and there's a really big disconnect between people who are married and how they view their relationship versus people who want a relationship but they're not in one currently, or maybe they are dating around but they're not in a committed long-term relationship. So let's talk about the differences, and I really hope this video is going to be insightful to you. If you think it is, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing to my channel, and let's get right into it. So often people that are not in a relationship think that marriage is the end goal. They want to get married and they think that life is going to only get better from there, and they think that they need to find their partner in order to continue life. They're at this point where they feel the gap between their friends who are maybe in a committed relationship and themselves, where they are still free and not attached to somebody, and they feel like they need to find their missing soulmate and live life. From a person who has been married for a little over 5 years, the truth is that being in a committed relationship is a lot of hard work, and I think you start to notice more of your differences when you are in the relationship versus when you're free and all you're thinking about is finding a relationship. When you commit to a person, there are so many things that you guys need to understand about each other, especially your core values, in order to progress in life. And then there will always be things that go wrong or things that you are unexpectedly encountered with, and the way you guys navigate through those situations is going to determine whether or not you are going to be finding more love for one another versus becoming one of those couples that can't stand each other. Both realities are equally possible, and nobody goes into a marriage thinking that they're going to hate their spouse or their partner, but it happens, and very often. It feels like in our day and age, it's becoming a really popular thing for people to divorce, try to look elsewhere for their partner. However, a lot of people fail to recognize that being in a relationship with somebody shows each person's biggest insecurities as well as heightens their best features, especially during the dating phase. So if you're looking to get married, don't think that marriage is the be-all end-all goal. It definitely is not, because unless you know the person that you're married to very well, you're destined to have some hardships. And even if you've been dating for 5-7 years, it doesn't mean you know everything about your partner, because every person is continuously evolving and growing and changing and being impacted from things that are outside of their control as well as things that are going on internally. And all of this stuff develops into somebody's character. Marriage can offer a sense of stability, security, and belonging. It can also be like living with your worst enemy and one of the most heartbreaking things that you encounter. Because everybody's marriage is different, and I'm just speaking on a whole spectrum of people. But the way that we enter into a marriage really changes over time as you live with that person and as you have experiences with them. And being able to keep those feelings really depends on each person. And a lot of times the things that our partner does are out of our control, but the way that we react to them and the things that we decide to do in response to whatever their actions may be is going to determine a lot about what the duration of our relationship is going to be like. A lot of people get this mistake when they enter into a relationship and they think that they found their other person and their life is going to be great and everything, and then the first thing that happens causes a whole dysfunctional relationship. Often when a problem occurs, whatever the problem may be, it's like rocking a boat, right? So it starts getting out of balance and a lot of things just start happening without maybe you understanding what's going on, which in a sense is a blessing in disguise because it builds your character and it helps you develop as an individual even while you're in the union. A lot of people think that when they get married, their partner is going to be their biggest supporter, and sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you guys butt heads and navigate how to deal with the situation and your relationship together. A lot of people get the mistake of thinking that when they enter in the relationship, they're always going to be passionate and loving towards their partner. And that's not really true unless it's a conscious effort that you are making every single day in your mind and in your life and in your interactions with your partner. The way a person responds when somebody hurts them and the way you choose to move on from that situation, what you choose to learn and how you grow is going to make a huge difference, not only in you as an individual, but in both of you in your relationship. If you have kids, obviously the kids are going to be affected by this as well. So it's really important to understand the true nature and the character of the person that you're marrying. Now, I know I said that people are going to change and evolve with time, and that is true, but still most people are used to having like a habitual way of being, and that is very rarely changeable because it's like deep in their psyche and something that we learn from such a young age that it's highly unlikely to change. So what we need to do is identify those core behavior patterns and thought processes to understand how the person will be as a partner. Another thing that a lot of single people fail to realize about marriage is how much it takes to actually make the relationship work in terms of being able to compromise your own desires in order for that relationship to flourish. And I'm not saying that it should all just be one side giving, and the other person receiving and taking and having. It's a very complex mixture of who gives and who receives all throughout the marriage, and the way that you view it is going to be the factor that determines how your marriage goes. The attitudes that we adopt towards these situations are going to have a big impact on how we see our partner. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are a lot of people that think that they're going to always be in this close relational state with their partner once they get married. And I can't tell you how far that is from the truth, because most of the time you're not only battling things that are going on for you as an individual, but things that are going on for your partner as an individual. And being able to both want to come together and have that closeness is going to determine many factors on your overall satisfaction with the relationship. Marriage is not for the weak, because when push comes to shove, many people go straight for the divorce factor, and choosing to bring that up is probably one of the biggest mistakes, because if you chose to commit to this person and you probably did it in front of everybody that you know, why are you so quick to jump the gun in the spur of the moment and not really realize how much of an impact it is going to have in your overall lives? Because when you connect with somebody and you make it legal, you make it a commitment in front of everybody that you know, a lot of things are intertwined. So you're no longer the same person that you were before you entered into that commitment. And especially if you guys have kids together, if you bought a home together or something like that, so many things are intertwined now that just throwing out the divorce card forces your partner to close off and decide to distance themselves from you, which is a huge mistake and something that you don't want to do at all. Even if in that moment you feel that way, I wouldn't pull that card out unless it's already to the point of no return. Another thing a lot of single people tend to get wrong is that they think that the relationship is going to be perfect once they settle with their partner, and the reality is that there are a lot of more things that could go wrong in the relationship than are going to go right. And this is not to discourage you from getting married and finding your partner and living your life. This is just a reality check of what your perspective is, because way too often we enter into a relationship with somebody and wonder if this is all that there is to life. The truth is that we need to all check ourselves in order to make sure that we are showing up as our best version of ourselves for our partner. And I'm talking about post-honeymoon phase here. But when we choose to tie ourselves to one person and build a life with them, literally everything in your life is going to be impacted by that one decision that you make. And the scary part is that you don't know and you don't have control over what your partner is going to choose, because one day they could choose to end that relationship with you, and that's the biggest fear that people have too. So I encourage you to think about the things that could go wrong and what your possible outcome would be for that, and make sure that if it involves your partner's participation, that they are willing to do that before you commit to them. Another thing that a lot of single people get wrong is that they think they found a partner who wants to raise a family together, buy a home together. But a lot of times during the process of actually having children or buying that home, partners tend to turn against one another when things aren't going the right way in their idea and their thoughts. So I would encourage you to understand and have a very clear picture of your partner's involvement in making huge life decisions and of course in raising children, because people have a very different perception of what giving their all means to them. A lot of single people think that getting married is all about finding their own happiness and finding their partner, but that's not really true, especially when you have children. When you find your person and you have children, everything that really matters is about making sure that your children are happy. And I'm not saying that your happiness doesn't matter, but the reality is that they're impacted more than the two of you are as grown adults who have a lot of the control in your hands. And that goes for both partners. But your children are going to be impacted by any decision that either of you or both of you make. So it's really important to understand what you're signing up for before you do. No one goes into the relationship thinking that it's not gonna work, but then life happens and things go wrong, and it would be a mistake to think that you're gonna be any different, because like I mentioned before, a lot more things could go wrong than could go right, and the way that you navigate them is going to build your character, which is the one thing that you can control and manage more than anything else that's going on around you. I know it's easy during the dating phase or during the honeymoon phase to think that this is how it's always going to be and everything is going to be fine and dandy. However, with time, you do realize more and more that you choosing to love your partner has nothing to do with how good or not they are. And sometimes people can make this toxic where they're in a relationship that isn't actually good for them. The only way to know the difference of whether or not it is something that you are doing as a virtue versus something that you are doing which is destructive is by being able to weigh out the pros and cons and the environment that is being created and the probability of change actually happening. And you can only do that when you are searching to become a wholesome person yourself. Your impact on your relationship has a lot more weight to it than you think it does, and that is because an entire relationship is built on action and reaction and how each partner feels during that interaction. Although a relationship does take two people to grow and be a good one person still does have a lot of impact on the whole situation. One of the greatest gifts that marriage brings is the gift of companionship and having somebody there for you. And that is a wonderful concept and I do love it. But the thing is, you also have to realize that your internal world, what happens within you, is going to have a bigger impact on your relationship than whatever your partner is doing. And when you are confident in yourself and you feel secure within yourself and you feel emotionally stable, financially stable, this is going to have a lasting impact on your relationship as a whole. When you think about a relationship, you think about two people coming together to make decisions and everything. But nobody really talks about how much of an impact just one person's decisions have on everything all around. And this is like what I just talked about, how you impact your relationship. But this is talking about your finances and your extended family members, and literally everything that happens around you is also impacted by specifically your decisions. And I feel like when we talk about marriage and people that are single, they think so much about what it would be like to be in one, and they kind of fantasize and romanticize everything that happens within it. But we do have to remember all of the not so great things, and I'm sure that every single one of you has somebody they know that isn't in a happy relationship. What things can you learn from that in order to not have that happen in your life? And don't think that you're better than that and nothing bad is going to happen, because it definitely will. That's a part of life. and it's a part of growing and being able to overcome things that come your way. But ultimately, the partner that you choose, minus everything that you put onto them and you project because you want to like this person, is going to determine so many things in your life. Another thing that I heard about is people say that we fall in love with ourselves through our partner, and this is really true. And things that we don't like about our partner is also things that we see in ourselves that we may be denying or disliking, trying to forget that it is a part of us. So I think intention and being able to really know your own place, where you stand and how you are throughout the duration of your relationship, is going to determine what kind of relationship that you have. I really hope this video was insightful. If there's anything that you think I missed, please leave it down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.